Hi there, it's Alexis Arthur from Pacific Forage in another corn plot. We're here in Chemainus, BC at Porter's Dairy on a day that would be perfect for a barbecue, and unfortunately due to COVID we can't have it. So we're trying to do the next best thing and at least show you the corn. Unfortunately there's no lunch involved this time. We're going to start on this plot lowest to highest on heat unit as we normally do. So here we have Pride 1017 Roundup ready, and as you can see, for a 2175 heat unit, 2150, the cob production and the height you see behind me is really impressive. For a low heat unit, this is a real quick out of the ground and run product. It likes good soils, but can deal with some stressors. This year we had a lot of cool and a lot of wet at the beginning of our season, and in some tough fields under those circumstances she wasn't particularly happy. She can deal with, you know, one or the other, cool and wet or some tough growing, but you stick all of that together. She had a little trouble in some places, but overall she's just a gangbuster of a low heat unit product. Now 6875 Thunder product. This is a 2100 heat unit. She's different from her neighbor 1017 in that she's a full dent. You see our denting here. 1017 has a bit of flint to her, so she pops up. Nice grain potential here. That's what we're looking for in this low heat unit. We usually see good grain. Also some very good height. Not a huge amount of leaf development above that cob, but we're looking to put this in sort of a lower heat unit area that we can get something out of. I'm telling you, on as a low heat unit, the grain production on this is really impressive. And again, in this cool season, the wet beginning, she actually did incredibly well. So another low heat unit that's just an exceptional start. I'm now at 4514RR. So this is another low heat unit Pride. Straight Roundup ready, which is nice. Don't have to deal with a stack there if you don't need it. She sometimes gets overshadowed, but again, if you can look here, great cob, nice fill, good grain to her, absolutely finished. I do like the height. I like the cob placement on it, not too high. I like the finish on the season, straight finish to the top. This trial overall has had good finish pretty much across the board though for the cob. But I have seen this season in other places where, again, because of this cool wet beginning, we did not get a finish on a number of cobs. We had some aborting, but here on this land it did quite well. This is an irrigated field, not that it needed a lot of irrigation this year. So yeah, again, a good low heat unit. Run came out well. A lot of grain here would be one that I would be at this point then wanting to compare digestibility numbers against the others to see where I would put her if I wanted to get her in the ground. Now in our trial we have Thunder 6977 VT2P. So again, let's just go over VT2P. That means VT Double Pro. It's a Double Pro product, which means it has Roundup ready trait on this corn as well as corn borer. Out here in BC we don't have a corn borer problem at this point, let's knock wood, but that trait protects for both. RIB, R-I-B, refuge in the bag, means that there's a percentage of this product that does not have the corn borer trait. Everything has the Roundup ready, but it does not have the corn borer trait on a percentage to help ensure that a resistance doesn't develop. Okay, so you don't have to make an apron around your field, you don't have to do anything special, you put it in and the refuge is in your field. Okay, so 6977 is new. I like trying new corn, I like checking things out. 6977 in the prairies is a grain product. Put beside a 4578 Thunder, which we've had here for years, and it is doing really well out there from a grain standpoint. I wanted to take a look at it because it's new. I like the cob development on it. Again, you can see full dent. You really need that when you're dealing with grain. Nice grain production on it. A shorter height on this product because it's grain focused. Okay, they're not looking for body of in a plant. They just want the cob as their focus. However, I am going to be interested in what the feed value numbers are on here and if it would fit in the portfolio. Thunder 4578RR. So this is a workhorse. Okay, this is a corn at a 2200 that fits low to mid heat unit range, and she comes up in most anything. She and Thunder's 4126 really were a backbone in that middle range heat unit in our portfolio. They come up in crappy weather, and they did this year. They deal with cool, they deal with wet, and that's important for us out here, particularly in our springs, and it was certainly important this year. So she's come through again here in this plot. Great fill on the cob, nice grain production, small core, you know, things we're looking for. The Thunder products, their corns are longer as opposed to fatter. Okay, so you get grain this way as opposed to this way. But nice depth of kernel that matters. Something to point out, because we are carrying some other lines, you can look at leaf production above the cob, and you see on 4578 it's drying down. We're a little later into the plot, but it's drying down. But there is a good amount of leaf there. Some leafy products you'll see more leaf above, and that's because you're looking at sort of feed value and more fodder. But again, she's really strong. I wonder if she might not be getting put out to pasture soon because of her age, but we've definitely got a lot of other products in here, but I do use her as something to mark other and new products against. Thunder 4126RR, you heard me say earlier that 4578 and 4126 are sort of the backbone of the low heat unit silage producers out this way for our portfolio. Come up and cool, come up and wet, great spring figure, really push through and do it. The two of them seem to go back and forth on how well they do in a season. Sometimes 4578 does the better, sometimes 4126. They're sort of like rivaling siblings. The height on this product is excellent, has that pineapple leaf, the leaves stick straight up. You'll see that in some of the prides as well. It is a flint dent product, where the last one, that horizon in my hand, you could see all the dents. Here you don't, you see a bit of dimpling and then a hard flint finish. Moisture gets held in there, so if you're coming in later in the season, you're sure of moisture in your plant product. What I've always liked about 4126 is its small core, deep kernel. Again, as a Thunder, longer rather than wider. Good depth of kernel. Usually always a very good ADF-NDF ratio on this. And being a 2250 does well in the field and also in the bump. Here's another horizon. Over here on Vancouver Island, I tried to keep the heat units low. This is 1685. Again, we're going to speak about sort of what comes after that. So it says Agrisure Viptera, and the little number there is 3110. So that means it's glyphosate tolerant. Yes, you can use the Roundup. It has corn borer, which again we don't have at this time. It has a black cutworm, a western bean cutworm, and a fall armyworm protection on it. Okay, so multiple layers there. Stand, very tall corn up against beside 4126 as it is in this plot. Good height to it. Not a pineapple leaf, a traditional leaf. A good leaf amount over that cob, again looking at silage. And here fatter cob like this as opposed to length, full dent, nice grain, good core. Little more to the core than I see in some of the other horizons, and say next door to 4126, but you can't argue that there's a lot of grain there. So again, look forward to seeing what test on this will be. I've got a pick seed here in the mix. This is pick seed 2563 GSX. It's a rootworm traded product. Again, yes, you can use your Roundup, but it's got rootworm protection. We don't have rootworm on Vancouver Island yet. Let's hope we can keep it that way. But because there's some lower heat unit options here, I wanted to grab onto them and see how they would do in this neck of the woods in case anything ever sort of happened, so we would be prepared and there would be history as to what you could use. So this is a good corn. We've got nice height, Nice leaf. Nice cob placement. A number of them do, but nice cob placement. We have a full dent here with a lot of grain production on it. So at this stage, you might not have to purchase a product like this because you don't have a rootworm issue, but we definitely do have it covered if it's required. So good feed value numbers on this product. It's a nice corn. Here's another Horizon in the bunch. This is Horizon 675. It's 2350. Sorry, I'm looking down. It's 2350 heat unit. I would say I was using Workhorse for a couple of those Thunders. I believe Horizon would probably call this their Workhorse in the West. It doesn't necessarily have the height that I'm seeing in some of the other products, but by gosh, it's got the grain. By gosh. So I would say that sort of your fodder to grain ratio would be pretty impressive on this. Not a deep core, a lot of kernel base here. So based on size of cob, dry down, and grain fill, I am really interested in what the yield values are going to be on this corn as well as the feed values. I do know at our interior plot that has come off, no testing has been done on it yet, but has come off. It was one of the top three, if not the top contender for green tons at that point. So one to watch. Pride 4646 G2. Just a quick run in again. Our G2s in Pride. Just another suffix that means it has Roundup Ready coverage and corn borer and refuge in the bag. Okay. So 4646, I like this corn. In a group of prides where we're used to height and we're used to flint dents, and we're used to large cob production, 4646 is a full dent. And it's got nice grain development on it. It usually has very good feed value numbers on it. It is not as tall, it is not as showy, but from what gets into the cow's gut, it is a good corn, and one to sort of note when you're looking through results, etc., just to take a look at its production numbers. Thunder, this is new to us. It's not new to Thunder, but it's new to us. 4076 Roundup Ready, no other traits in the package. Again, it was one that I just wanted to take a look at and see where it stood. It's a tall product, a good amount of leaf, wide leaf body to it. From a silage standpoint, for us, I'm used to in Thunder and some of the stuff we're dealing with, there's a little bit of a flint behind some of them, especially on the silage side. This is a full dent, be a nice grain corn option. This reminds me of old. This was like our old 2146 back in the day where there wasn't a huge amount of small kernels around. There were these big honking kernels in a small core with a long cob. And some people will look at it and get a little thrown off because, oh, look at it, it's not as big and fat a cob, but because of the length you actually can have just as much grain there. So I'm interested in numbers on this for green tons, but also for finished starch numbers, and just to see where it sits within a yield standpoint. It's a little further along in the plot than it probably should be. It's a lower heat unit. Probably belongs down that way a little, but we like splitting our hybrids, you know, between Prides and Thunders, etc. We don't like them all bunched up at one end. So yeah, again, another one to look at what the results are, but a lot of potential here. This is the point in the plot where I begin to really feel my shortness in a very intense way. So this is new to us. This is a Pride 1027 RR, so straight Roundup Ready. EDF, there's that discussion of digestible fiber, big leafy product, lots of fodder to it, tall plant, fat leaf, lots of tons to be had. And then Pride likes to throw a really long, big, deep kerneled cob into it, which has happened here. You will know 1047. If you like Pride, you will have heard of that one. That's the really tall, showy one, 2450 heat unit. There's a 1037, which was close to that, and although a very good product, not quite the yielder, and now this is 1027. I'm guessing, of course, by the look of them all, they're all related. either on female or male side. So their production rates are quite similar, but if you can believe it, this one in this plot's actually taller. And we're going to see on dry down if it's at 2350, you know, is it there? Is it 24? One of the things, they'll tell us what the heat units are, and then we plant them out here and see where they fit. So we've got it sort of sitting in a 2350 zone. We'll see if that's the case. But there's a lot of tons here. So we'll find out on dry down and on feed value what we're looking at, and if there's some improvements on the 1047 to be had. So here's my last horizon of the bunch in this plot. So it's horizon 2536 Duracade, which then even has more to it. Duracade 5222 Easy Refuge. And so this product has glyphosate tolerant, so you can use your Roundup, has corn borer, has Liberty, has the western cutworm, the black cutworm, has the army worm, and the fall armyworm, and then it also has rootworm. And this was one I was going after because, again, on the mainland we have some rootworm issues in the valley. So again, not necessarily something you have to have here with all of these traits on it, but I wanted to take a look at what it would be like. It's in the 2450 heat unit range. Okay, so what I'm seeing is nice height to it, good leaf production, and again, what I'm noting in these horizons are sort of a shorter cob, but big fill, lots of grain to them, nice depth of kernel, full dent, so a quicker dry down potentially on it than say a flint dent if you were going up against it. So again, it's a rootworm product that I was looking at, but I'm interested to see how it will stand up in this group at the back end of this plot. Second to last in this Vancouver Island plot is Pride 4705. She's at about a 2350 heat unit. The history of 4705 is she used to sort of be the rock star of the valley, I'll be honest, and could really deal with some crappy weather and really put out a high production and very good feed value numbers. And if you look at her here, like, she's tall, she's beautiful, and weirdly, she kind of deals with weather that isn't great better than sort of that hot corn growing out in this neck of the woods for whatever reason. So we've got a beautiful full cob here. We've got nice grain, small core again. She doesn't have some of the size to the cob as the 1047 does, but really good. And the feed value numbers on her are excellent. But in the last 4 years or so, she just hasn't been able to stand up to her Pride sisters. So I'm interested to see how she does this year, actually, because yeah, she's one that keeps on ticking in the tough circumstances of cool and wet. So last, but of course certainly not least in our Vancouver Island plot is Pride 1047. Roundup ready. Again, you see that, again, that EDF, this is talking about a lot of height, a lot of leaf, that leaf above the cob, lots of fodder to work with, and then yes, again, like that new 1027, the 1047 just throws on quite the cob. Again, we have a flint dent finish to it, lot of nice kernel here to work with. This is a meaty ton building product. If you need tons, here's where you have it. It doesn't always have the highest starch numbers on it, but I've interestingly had conversations with farmers who will say, you know, if my starch is too high, sometimes my milk goes down, and we get into various reasons for those sort of conversations. But this product can sort of put you in that sort of great feed zone, and the tons are quite astounding, and that sort of cob to body of the corn ratio is very, very, very good. 2450 though, you've got to be able, if she doesn't finish, she's not worth your time. So a 2450 heat unit, if you can manage that within your fields, she's one to work with.